Okay. Magandang hapon po. Alauna na. Eksakto. Alright. Is there any one of you who does not understand Filipino? Now, how do you respond to my question? Well, let me share with you my screen. Alright, share screen. There you go. Okay. Tumayin natin. Share screen. Okay. Okay. As you can see here, on our Google Classroom Elementary Logic WFW unit, meron akong announcement. Public lectures, all right? This is your YouTube link. This is our afternoon elementary logic first day lecture link. Your class participation at the moment will be limited here. All right, this is where you participate at the moment. Okay, chat. We chat here, all right, on this particular announcement. Okay, so my question is, who among you does not understand Filipino? Para gagawin ko English na lahat. Yun nga lang, dudugo talaga yung aking ilong. Hindi ako masyadong sanay. Hopefully, lahat kayo marunong mag-Filipino. Alright? I'm not getting any response, so my assumption is everybody understands Filipino. So, I'll speak in lingua franca, meaning to say, English at Filipino, naghalo na ang balat sa tinalupan, ika nga. Alright? So, this is me. I'm Associate Professor Aherico Victor Celestino Montesilio de Villa. I am broadcasting from my room here at room 209, second floor, Palma Hall, Pavilion 2, under the Department of Philosophy. All right, Philosophy Department, College of Social Science and Philosophy. Many of you actually have been my former students in my Philo 1 classes. Unfortunately, I think one or two of you have come from my Philo 1 classes last semester that have not been finished. We stopped somewhere around 60% of the lectures and the discussions. This is the reason, by the way, why my announcement has always been public lectures. Public lectures ni Propjerry. You will always see that because I am inviting all my former students beginning next meeting to attend all the lectures that we are going to have so that whatever they have missed last semester, they can pick them up here during our classes. All right, let me take a look at your comments here. So far, so good. So, walang hindi marunong mag-Pilipino. Okay, very good. Okay, share screen ulit tayo. Bakit? Kasi attendance. Okay, take a look at our screen. May attendance tayo. Kala nyo makakalusot kayo ha. Ayan, attendance check. Okay. I'm now posting it. Okay. Which means you get to see the announcement. All right? Propjerry Public Lectures posted a new material, attendance check. Here it is. Let's check it. All right, everybody, you have to click that sometime during the session. And you have to fill up whatever needs to be filled up. That's your attendance check. Why is attendance important? Bakit importante? Ha? Pag-usapan natin mamaya, ha? In general, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong araw na ito, course objective and other details. Now, part of the course objective has to do with your attendance. Alright? What is this? This is a class in elementary logic, in particular, Introduction to Elementary Logic. In particular, Introduction to Elementary Mathematical Logic. Mathematical. Iba sa itinuturo sa Ateneo, iba sa itinuturo sa Lasal, iba sa itinuturo sa UST at napakarami pang mga schools. Alright? Ang itinuturo sa atin ay elementary mathematical logic. Ang itinuturo sa iba ay Aristotelian logic. Ano yung difference? Naku, malaking diferensya. Alright, saka na natin ipaliwanag muna. Balik tayo sa attendance. Importante ang attendance sapagkat nabanggit nga natin sa ating mga class rules. Ano yung ating mga class rules? Excuse me. Hanapin na natin. Yan, class rules. Can you see that? Yan. Focus on item number 2. Yan, right in the middle of the screen. Anyone absent during 20% or more of the class sessions is going to be given a grade of 5. Sus Mariosep, grade of 5. Bakit? Right? This is the reason. Ang resources ng bayan natin, pinagastos para sa inyo. Who are you as students of this class? You are scholars of the nation. Scholar ng bayan. Mga scholar ng bayan. Sa makatuwid, the resources of this nation spent on you. What are these resources? Well, time. That's one. Money. That's another. Effort. That's another. And in the case of teachers like me, I sacrifice. Kamamatay lamang ng isang colleague ko kahapon. At for a long while, ay maraming kagaya ko ng mga teacher dito na kapag na-ospital ay napapag-isipan namin anong mangyari sa amin. Bakit? Kasi kaming mga teacher dito ay pag nag-retire, kulang ang pambayad namin sa COVID. Pagka ikaw ay na-ospital, tapos lumala ang iyong sakit, Sus Mariosep, alam nyo yung aming katulong, kasangbahay, na COVID, ay nakailang araw lamang sa ospital, 600,000 na eh. Kung abutin ka na isang buwan, di milyon, ubos lahat ng retirement pay, kulang pa. So, ang anong gusto kong sabihin, maraming profesor dito, pwedeng kumita sa labas. Lalo na sa Lasal, ang taas ng bayad dyan. Compare sa sweldo sa UP, doble ang bayad sa Lasal. Pero nagtitiis dito. Bakit? Yung mga profesor nagtitiis dito kasi marami tayong ginagawa dito talagang tunay na tunay, genuinely para sa bayan. Now, anong gusto nating sabihin? Ang resources ng bayan ay konti lamang. The resources of this nation are not enough for everyone. In other words, if you treat the resources of this nation as a blanket, you pull the blanket to one side, some other fellow on the other side of the bed will have no blanket. That's what we're saying. Dito sa Metro Manila, ang average lifespan natin, ang average life expectancy natin ay 69. At large, the entire Philippines, around 63 years of age, life expectancy. But, unfortunately, for some of our fellow men, dito sa Pilipinas, halimbawa, doon sa Bangsamoro areas, kung saan napakagulo, ang kanilang life expectancy ay 44, hindi man lang umabot ng 45 years old. I-extend mo na lang hanggang 45. At 45 years life expectancy compared to 69 years life expectancy, one-third of their lives gone compared to ours here in Metro Manila. Why? By simply being unfortunately born in such a place. Buti kung sa Bangsamoro area lamang may ganyan. Lalo pa ngayon, nawalang hiya natin yung mga taga-Marawi. Meron ding mga ganyan doon sa Cordillera Autonomous Region. Doon sa amin sa Batangas, may ganyan din. Doon sa Region 5, sa Bicol, may ganyan. Mababa ang life expectancy. So, anong gusto nating sabihin? Dito sa UP, pag magpalit tayo ng karsada, para tayo nagpapalit ng sapatos parang, sus Maria Josep, we spend so much time, money, effort, and sacrifice for you. And then what happens? Kung hindi nyo naman pahahalagahan, pa-absent kayo, pagkatapos natapos na ang klase, wala naman kayo natutunan. It's just like having the resources burned to the ground. Nobody is able to use it for controlling their destinies. Yung ating mga kababayan, kailangan ng tulong hindi nga natin binibigyan. Sa inyo nga ibinibigay. Pagkatapos uubusin nyo lang sa walang tuturang mga bagay, sa walang mga halagang mga bagay. Kaya dito, meron tayong rule na ganyan. Alright? Sa ibang bansa, you waste the resources of the nation, they line you against the wall, babariling kayo. They shoot you to death. Alright? They execute you. Dito sa UP, sinising ko laang, we will give you a grade of 5. So this is clear. Anyone absent during 20% or more of the class sessions is going to be given a grade of 5. Alright. Reasonable tayo. Meaning to say, meron din naman tayong leeway. So, anyone excused from being absent, excuse. Anyone excused from being absent is going to be given either a makeup examination, if that's what we need, or a grade of drop instead of 5 if the student is not able to continue the course. Is not able to continue the coursework. So, pay attention. Clear ang sinabi ko excuse. Now, some of us, including professors, have the mistaken notion that an excuse is the same as mere justification. Si Duterte, kadami-daming justification na pwedeng imbentuhin. Kaya yung ating secretary ng health ay nandyan pa rin hanggang ngayon. Alright? Nagsimula tayo sa isa lamang may sakit noong January 30. Ngayon, from iisa lamang, meron na tayong 248,000. Na-imagine nyo ba yan? Alright? Pero dahil ang dami-daming justification na may ibibigay, walang katapusan, ay hindi naman mapalipalitan yung ating Secretary of Health. Ganon din dito. Walang katapusan ang mga justification na pwede nyo ibigay. Pero nagbigay kayo ng sangkatutak na justification does not necessarily mean na meron kayong excuse. Iba yung excuse. Alright? We will need to clarify. Alright? To have an excuse means what? Okay? Ito, mas malinaw to. Alright? Let me repeat. Anyone absent during 20% or more of the class sessions is going to be given a grade of 5. Now, nabanggit ko yung excuse. To have an excuse means what? There is an indication that, one, you have a justification that is acceptable to the university by university standards. So there's one requirement. Excuse means you have a justification acceptable by university standards. And then what else? Then, in addition, the case involved is a case where the situation is where the student has no choice at all. All right? A situation where the student has no choice at all but to be absent. To be absent during the exam, to be absent for a long time. No choice. That's what we're saying. You have an excuse if you really have no choice at all. All right? Now, let me illustrate to you by giving you some kind of a story. Imagine that you are a varsity player, a member of the varsity. Maybe, say, the basketball team. Now, it turns out that you are involved with a game that's supposed to take place on the same day as an examination. But the game is crucial. It's so crucial if you win the game, and since you are the star player, you have to be there. If you win the game, then we become UP as basketball champions. And becoming basketball champions, we, UP, becomes overall UAAP champions. Now, crucial game, as we can imagine. You have to make a choice. Play the game or take the exam. And then you play the hero that you are, and heroically you play the game. You don't take the exam. Heroically you play the game. We win. We become basketball champions, and we become UAAP overall champions. Congratulations. I will congratulate you, but I will still give you a grade of 5. You have made the choice. And if you make the choice, then you stand up for whatever output or outcome that choice gives you. That is what UP training tells you. Alright? Hindi naman nangyari na ikaw tinutukan ng baril at sinabing ikaw pag hindi ka umattend ng game, babariling kita. It's not that kind of situation. Now, to have an excuse means what? A situation where the student has no choice at all but to be absent. For example, nasagasaan ka nga ng train. Nung nasagasaan ka ng train, anong sabi mo? Take me to UP, have an exam. Take me to UP, have an exam. Take me, hindi ka dinala sa UP, dinala ka sa ospital, hindi mo kasalanan yon. Wala kang choice. Hindi ka naman makalakad. Bakit? Wala ka ng paa kasi nasagasaan ka nga So, maraming halimbawa na ganyan. Na-ospital ka, na-aksidente ka nga, or na-kidnap ka. Mukha kang sino, kagaya ko, akala nila mayamang ka. Pagkatapos kinidnap ka. Pagkatapos ibinaong ka sa lupa, 6 feet underground. Pagpagulong-gulong ka ron sa ilalim, hindi ka makakuha ng exam. Excuse kung buhay ka pa. Okay? So, maliwanag, ha? Pag walang excuse, 5. Pag may excuse, ang ibig sabihin, may justification, acceptable to the university, at in addition, yung situation mo, wala ka talagang choice. Okay? Bakit ganyan? Gusto natin mapangalagaan ang investment sa inyo ng bayan. The nation has investment in you in the form of time, money, effort, and in addition, sacrifice of so many individuals. Hindi nyo lang alam kung gaano karami. Alright? We don't want that kind of investment to go to waste. Alright? Kung kayo ay nasa Ateneo, pera nyo yun. Kung kayo nasa Lasal, pera nyo yun. Pero dito, pera ng bayan ang pinag-uusapan. Kaya importante ang attendance. Ayan po. Ngayon, dahil meron tayong mga class rules na ganyan at marami pang iba, nakita nyo naman dyan sa mga pinadala ko, hopefully binasa ninyo, di nagkakaliwanagan tayo. Alright? Madali lang namang makagrade dito sa atin All you need are 2 long examinations. Yun lang. First exam, midterm, second exam, end of term. End of term, hindi final exam. Pag sinabi nating end of term, that means yun lang second half ng semester ang covered ng exam. So, first half of the semester, covered ng first exam, midterm. Second half of the semester, covered ng second exam, end of term. That's it. And then, we take the average score ninyo, and if you have a score of 75 or better, you pass. Bakit 75 ang passing grade? Kasi po, yung ating pag-aaralan, sa totoo lang, from my point of view, pang high school, pang senior high. Yung mga equivalent ninyo na senior high, halimbawa sa Hong Kong, senior high, halimbawa sa Taipei, senior high, halimbawa Singapore or Tokyo or Seoul, Korea, kinukuha nila yan pang high school. Ang assumption ko, dahil college na tayo, baka naman mas magaling tayo. But the passing grade of 75, we may adjust. We may adjust depending on the normal curve. There are two classes that I am now teaching, elementary logic, and given the two classes, we will look at the graph involved. If there is a normal curve, and it looks like, given the normal curve, the grades are too low, probably an indication that I have not delivered as I should be delivering my lessons. So we will adjust the passing grade. But for now, it's 75. Depende sa normal curve na makukuha natin. Kung normal curve na yan, pwede nating adjust from 75 to maybe 80 or 85. Alright? Pwede na yan. Nagbibiro lang ako. I'm just joking. We can adjust the passing grade like what we've done last semester. We needed to adjust the passing grade, and we ended up adjusting the passing grade from 75 to 50. Well, really depends on the performance of the two classes. So, ngayon pa lang, pagdasal nyo na yung isang klase, yung tinuturuan ko sa umaga, mas mababa ang grade kaysa inyo. Para pag mababa, di bababaan ko yung passing grade, damay na kayo. O, di ba sayahan, di ba? Alright, but for now, this is it. Class grades are going to be based on the following items, 2 long examinations. And if masipag kayo, pwede nating dagdagan yung grade niyo with bonus points and answering questions during class. Now, for the moment, ang mga answers natin at questions na ibibigay ko sa inyo ay via the chat natin dito, comments sa ating classroom. So here, let me call your attention, all right? Dito sa ating announcement of the YouTube channel, this is where you participate, all right? Sinulat ko naman dyan yung comment ko. Put your thoughts here as comments. Thank you. All right. Now, as per our rules, if you answer some very important questions, you get bonus points, although not now. Beginning next meeting, we are going to use Mentimeter. All right, we are going to use Mentimeter. Let me make that comment. All right, next meeting, we use Mentimeter. All right, Mentimeter as in Mentimeter.com. All right. Hopefully by next meeting, you have your accounts with Mentimeter. And recitation will be on many occasions, including quizzes, will be given through Mentimeter. Now, let me get back to StreamYard. All right. Let me get back to StreamYard. Yan. Haba ng buhok ko, nakakahiya. You've seen my photograph. That was my photograph last semester. Now, this is how I look with all the stress of the lockdown. Has been so stressful for me because in the last 2 months, I've been asked to come up with a book. Can you imagine coming up with a book in just 2 months? All right, but I could not let go of the opportunity. The Department of Education has asked for my help, and truly they needed my help. So I have come up with a book on philosophy of sport that's going to be used by the part. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But the point is, well, it's been so stressful, but I'm so happy that now we can have our classes. Okay, so StreamYard we are using. What's going on? Well, for one, I'm using StreamYard so you can get to do not participate in it as recorded. Alright? So lahat ng ating lectures nare-record dyan ng StreamYard and bino-broadcast ng StreamYard for 7 days. So if within 7 days you're able to view the lecture, so within 7 days of you being absent from one lecture, you can view the lecture on YouTube or download it, and then when you have time, you can view it. All right, you have the permission to download. All right, I'm giving you the permission. So 7 days yan, pwede nyo i-review kung kailangan nyo i-review. So gusto ko yun, kaya StreamYard ginagamit natin. Now, every meeting, beginning next meeting, I am going to invite 10 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to invite 10 of you at a time to be part of the live broadcast. That's my plan. Although some of you may be queasy about being on broadcast, especially it's public broadcast. All right, it's on YouTube. Anybody in the world can see it. You might not want to see it. So hindi kayo required. I'm just saying, if you like to participate, then I'm happy about it. I'll bring you in. So beginning next meeting, I'll be inviting 10 of you at a time. When we are at ease with how we are able to use information communication technology, maybe at some point in time within the semester, everybody can join me here live on StreamYard, broadcast on Facebook. All right? But it really depends on how we ourselves all together take the technology involved. But for now, we're going to use StreamYard by invitation. And then, of course, everybody can watch YouTube. For the moment, we have suspended, as I pointed out, the Facebook part of the simulcast. Why? Because yesterday morning at around 7, somebody tried to hack into my Facebook account. My attention was called onto it by Facebook, and I'm still making arrangement, adjusting, so that I will have safer broadcast with Facebook. But for now, we're using StreamYard and YouTube. And of course, in addition, our Google Classroom. You can make comments, either comments via YouTube, which I will read tonight and answer as early as possible. And you can also make comments on our, here it is. Let me share it. All right, comments on our okay, there you go. Our Google Classroom unit. Dito ang comments ha. Diyan. Pero wala pa nagko-comment. Ako lang. Pambihira naman kayo. Nakikita nyo ba yan? Can you see it? Alright. Anyway, let me go on. So, attendance, we already know. Basis of your grades, there it is. Alright. Before the exam, I always give everybody sample exams. Actual exam questionnaires that I have fielded over the years given to my students to prepare for the upcoming exam. All right, how are we going to have our exam? Well, I'll give you the exam questionnaire one day, and then 24 hours later, I expect your answers. All right. Now, on your own, I hope you will read our class rules. All right. Complaints are welcome so long as these are in written form and duly signed. Criticism of the professor is welcome, meaning to say, if you criticize me, it's all right. Ilagay nyo dyan sa chat comments or ilagay nyo dyan sa YouTube comments or whatever form, and I'll have to live with it. Okay? Communication shall be with the use of any available information communication technology. Alright, nabanggit ko, complaints are welcome so long as these are in written form and duly signed. Ang gusto ko sabihin yan, complaints about the exam. So, binigyan ko kayo ng exam, kung meron kayong complaint, okay lang. Kung palagay din yung dapat, hindi ko kayo binawasan ng maraming points sa inyong essay question, you can challenge my grade. That's what I'm saying. So long as these are in written form and duly signed. Alright? So, kahit bigyan ko kayo ng 50, bakit? Minus 50 ko kayo, kung tingin niyo na may tama kayo, you should stand your ground. So, okay lang yun. Okay? So, that's what I have meant by saying complaints are welcome so long as these are in written form and duly signed. Alright. So far, so good. Okay, let's get back to our course description and objective. Alright. This is a class introduction to elementary mathematical logic. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi Aristotelian logic. Malaki ang diferensya. Alright, parang si David and Goliath. Now, ano ang course description? This is an introductory course on elementary mathematical logic, like I've said, not Aristotelian logic. Now, what's our course objective? At the end of the semester, the students should have enough understanding of the nature and limits of reasoning as to be able to cite ways of mathematicizing reasoning at its most basic level or, sabi ko nga dun sa ating course pack, at its most elementary level. Let me repeat. At the end of the semester, you as my students, and hopefully I will be proud of you like I'm proud of so many of my students. Excuse me, I have to have a drink. Kasi if you're as old as I am, mabilis kang ma-dehydrate. All right. So let me repeat. At the end of the semester, the student should have enough understanding of the nature and limits of reasoning as to be able to cite ways of mathematicizing reasoning at its most basic or so-called at its most elementary level. All right. Now, question. All right. Ilalagay ko as comment dyan sa ating Mr. Joel. Joel Tamana o Tamanal? Tanamal. All right, thank you for keeping me company. I have a question. How many of you have taken up some kind of course on the nature and limits of reasoning in high school, meaning to say senior high? Aber. Alright, meron ba sa inyo na ganyan? Tinuruan tungkol sa nature and limits of reasoning noong senior high? Palagay ninyo, what do you think? Mas marami bang eskwelahan sa Pilipinas ang nag-aaral ng nature and limits of reasoning high school pa lamang o hindi? Reasoning, yan ang foundation ng lahat nating ginagawa sa academe. Pagdating sa science, lahat ng science kailangan ng reasoning. Ganun din sa art. Papakita ko nga sa inyo as part of our studies in elementary logic, anong application ng elementary logic sa poetry? Anong application ng elementary mathematical logic sa songwriting? Alright, papakita ko sa inyo, marami akong original na kanta. Bakit? Marunong ako ng elementary logic. Alright. At saka yung mga kanta ko hindi nakakahiya. May nagtatanong na nga sa akin kung papayag daw ako na kanilang i-record, i-publish. Eh, ayaw ko. Gusto ko isa klasiko lamang. Tsaka na natin pag-usapan yan. Wala naman akong balak sumikat eh. Alright, so that's the question. How many of you have taken up some kind of course on the nature and limits of reasoning in high school or senior high? Based on my experience, wala. Except one very specific occasion, except sa sa Philippine Science High School. Doon, meron. Alright. Statistics, probability. Pero iba yun eh. That's mathematics eh. Iba pa yung logic eh. Miss Brizuela. But malapit na. Pero ang foundation ng statistics, ang foundation ng probability theory, ay yun yung logic. May kinalaman, yung statistics and probability theory. Alright, may kinalaman. Pero, iba pa rin yun eh. Alright? So, meron pa bang ibang sumagot? Mr. Jacinto? Wala. If I remember correctly, yung philo class namin is just introducing, making us memorize details about famous philosophers. Well, pwede na yun, famous philosophers, pero malayo sa logic yun. Alright? Ikwento ko sa inyo, ha? Yung logic, magmula nung itinayo ang UP, required sa UP. Maswerte tayo. Hindi lahat ng mga eskwelahan sa Asia ay required ng pag-aaral ng logic. Pero sa atin, first decade pa lamang ng 20th century, nag-aaral na tayo ng logic. Alright. Nung panahon ko, ako'y matanda na ha. Ako ipinanganak middle of the 20th century. Now, nung panahon ko, dito sa UP, required kami ng philosophy. At ang requirement ng philosophy, Philo 11, elementary logic. Tama, Miss Francine, yung fallacies, importante yan. Pag nag-aral kayo ng fallacies, logic yan. Pero, ang pag-aaral ng fallacies sa atin, 1 chapter lang yun. Kulang, sayang. By the way, Miss Francine, yung fallacies ay importante sa artificial intelligence. Kung merong machine na mangyayari, especially maging artificial general intelligence, in the future, at makikita nyo yan sa inyong generation, sasabihin sa iyo ng artificial general intelligence, importante sa kanya ang pag-aaral ng fallacies. Bakit? Saka ako na ipaliwanag. Alright? At the end of the semester, you will all understand the nature of artificial general intelligence. Okay, thank you for the comment, Ms. Pansin. Alright, balik tayo sa binabanggit ko kanina. Ano nga ba yung binabanggit ko kanina? Magkukwento ako. Ano yung kwento? Di-required nga kami ng Philo 11. At some point in time, naisipan ng UP, masyado namang technical yung requirement ng Philo 11. Sabi nila, pag-aralan natin Philo 11, logic, at saka konting general philosophy. Pumayag naman. So, anong nangyari from Philo 11, ang requirement na lamang sa buong UP ay Philo 1. Kung tama ang pagtuturo sa inyo ng teacher ninyo ng Philo 1, about from around 30 to 50% ng itinuturo sa inyo sa Philo 1, dapat logic. Alright? Although nabalita ko, kasi meron tayong mga ibang teacher na hindi sa UP nang galing Kasi yung mga graduate natin sa UP, nagiging mga computer specialist, nagiging mga lawyers, nagiging mga doktor. Walang gustong magturo. Kawawa naman. Anyway, kung tama ang pagtuturo sa inyo ng Philo 1, 30 to about 50% na itinuturo sa inyo about logic dapat. Now, ito ang nangyari. Noong pagdating ng 1990, sa UP, yung Philo 11 ay nasa pawa na ng Philo 1. Nagkataon naman na around that time also, nagtayo ang Pilipinas ng Commission on Higher Education. Now, maganda kasi kailangan talaga natin ng isang authority na nangangalaga ng higher education. Ano nangyari? Yung lahat ng members, well, almost lahat ng members ng Commission on Higher Education ay puro mga graduate ng UP. So, ang nangyari, ni-require nila ng Commission on Higher Education na sa lahat ng mga college student ng buong Pilipinas required ng philosophical analysis and 30 to 50% of that logic. Kagaya ng ginagawa natin, nag-aaral ng logic. Eh di masaya, di ba? Kasi tuturuan ng nature and limits of reasoning. Eh alam nyo naman, reasoning, foundation yan ng lahat ng academic concerns natin. Now, ano nangyari? Eh di sa simula, masaya. Eh after a while, naisipan ng gobyerno na yung unang 2 level ng college, ibaba sa senior high. Yung tawag natin ay grade 11 at grade 12. Kaya nangyari, naging K-12 program, kinder to grade 12 program. So, yung Philo 1, philosophical analysis na may logic, ay ibinaba doon sa high school, doon sa senior high. Nagkataon naman na dahil yan ay sa high school, ang may hawak niyan, DepEd. Ang DepEd, hindi hawak ng UP. Ang mga secretary at undersecretary nung panahong ibinaba yan ay mga dating mga opisyal ng Catholic schools. Problema, bakit? Kasi sa Catholic schools nga walang mathematical logic. So ano nangyari? Nung nababa ang philosophical analysis na punta sa high school, yun ang nangyari. Ang itinuturo sa inyo ay tungkol, sabi nga kanina, sa mga philosophers. Walang kinalaman dun sa nature and limits of reasoning. Kung meron man, kagaya ng fallacies, konti lang. Kaya hanggang ngayon, malaking problema tayo. Paliwanag ko maya-maya kung bakit problema talaga. Alright? But for the moment, what am I saying? Sabi ng UP, dapat i-require kayo na mag-aral uli ng philosophical analysis kahit kumuha na kayo ng high school. Bakit? Kasi iba yung turo dito sa UP, may logic eh. Ngayon, nagka-problema. Kasi may mga taga-UP hindi ganyang mag-isip. Nagkataon malakas. So pagdating nung 1990, 1990, nagkaroon ng Commission on Higher Education, ni-require ang Philo 1, pagkatapos nababa sa Department of Education. By the year 2000, sabi ng UP administration, yung Philo 1, kasama yung requirement ng logic, gawin na lang nating elective. Sus Mariosep. Elective ang pag-aaral ng logic. Alright? Kwento uli ako, ha? Naku, kumukulo na ang dugo ko. Sus Mariosep. Yan. Kwento uli ako. Ay, pinanganak ako, middle of the 20th century. Nung ako'y bata, ang hilig naming panoodin, mga lumang-lumang pre-war fantasy TV programs ni Flash Gordon. Hindi nyo kilala yun. Yun yung precursor ng mga sikat na mga heroes ngayon sa Marvel Comics at DC Comics. Flash Gordon. Tapos, hilig namin panoodin 1960s TV programs ng Lost in Space. Sa cartoons, yung Jetsons. At saka, of course, yung Star Trek. Diba? Hanggang ngayon, sikat. And, siyempre, sa sine, yung Star Wars. Yung panahon namin, ang idol namin, si Neil Armstrong. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Kaya ang tawag, in fact, sa age nung panahon namin, 20th century, age of space exploration. Alright? Or simply, space age. Pag ang economy mo bilang isang bansa ay hindi compatible with space technology or space age technology, ang iyong bansa hindi competitive economically. Yun ang gusto sabihin. Panahon ni Jose Rizal, ang sikat, hindi si Neil Armstrong. Alright, singaw lang sa lupa si Ling Armstrong ng panahon na yun. Panahon ni Jose Rizal, ang sikat ay sino? Si Alexander Graham Bell. Sino pa? Si Thomas Edison. Sino pa? Si Nikola Tesla. Kilala niyo yun? Si Nikola Tesla. Yung nagtitinda nung taho doon sa Cruz Naligas. Alright? Yung 19th century, 1800s, ay maraming inventions. Kaya ang tawag doon, Age of Inventors. Age of Inventors. Yan nga ang katulad ni Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Alexander Graham Bell, at marami pa. Pag ang iyong bansa, ang economy hindi compatible with the use of the telegraph, the telephone, the dynamo, the incandescent lamp, the steam engine, hindi competitive ang iyong economy. Alright? Kaya age of inventors. So, panahon ni Jose Rizal, age of inventors. Panahon namin, age of space exploration or space age. Panahon ninyo, anong tawag? Panahon ninyo, ang tawag, Age of Information Communication Technology, ICT. Age of Information Communication Technology. Alright. Now, anong ibig sabihin yan? Siyempre, yan yung age ng artificial intelligence. Kagaya na, autonomous driving cars. Alright? Nung panahon namin, sini lang yan. Ngayon, totoo na. Alright? There's a town in Germany na meron na silang, sa Germany and in fact in China, meron din isa. There's a place in Singapore, they're testing this now, minibus na walang driver, autonomous minibus, passenger, yung mga passenger sasakay, walang driver. Alright? So, age of information communication technology, age of artificial intelligence. Now, ang information communication technology, useless yan pag walang computer. Ang foundation, computer technology. Ang computer, useless yan pag walang programming. Ang foundation, computer programming. Ang foundation ng computer programming, logic. Logic. Anong gusto sabihin? Pagdating ng year 2000, kung kailan papapasok ang Age of Information Communication Technology, ay ang sabi ng UPA, ay tanggalin na lang natin yan. Ay hindi naman yan importante By the way, ako Batanggenyo, kaya may punto. Ay, kainaman na. Ay kung kailan pa information communication technology age at saka tinanggal lang logic Ay anak ng tinapay. Kaya sabi ng UP, diliman ha. Ay di, nangyari na. All of a sudden, walang philosophy, walang logic sa buong UP. Ay, pumalag ang UP Diliman. So anong ginawa ng UP Diliman? Ay secretly, mga subversive Secretly, ang mga UP Diliman na mga advisor, in-advise ang mga estudyante, hindi, kumuha kayo ng philosophy, kumuha kayo ng logic. Edi, ayos. Pagdating ng 2010, lumabas na in the open ng UP Diliman. Sabi ng UP Diliman, meron kami academic freedom tingin namin, kailangan namin to So, ang ginawa ng UP Diliman, dineclare by law of UP Diliman, by policy of UP Diliman, required ang Philo 1, required therefore ang logic sa pag-aaral dito sa UP Diliman. Bahala kayo sa ibang campuses, kami required. Ganun ka-importante ang logic para sa UP Diliman. At kayo, maswerte kayo, ang kinukuha nyo, yung logic classes na kinuha namin nung panahon namin, compatible with science. Bakit swerte kayo? Kasi maiintindihan ninyo ang nitty-gritties ng artificial intelligence, the height of information communication technology age. Isang justification yan. Kaya mahalaga yung ating course. Ano nga yung ating course objective? Alright? Ulitin natin. Course objective. Are. At the end of the semester, the students should have enough understanding of the nature and limits of reasoning as to be able to cite ways of mathematicizing reasoning at its most basic levels. Alright. Pero kulang yan. Hindi lang yan lamang ang dahilan kaya tayo nag-aaral yan. Alright. Scroll down natin din. Ay, tinan nyo naman, aring itsura ko. Last semester yan ay binigyan nga ako ng katakot-takot na problema nitong ating outbreak. By the way, meron akong information communication technology company and we are into artificial intelligence. Gumawa kami ng app para sa bayan at ginagamit ngayon. Pero saka ako na ipaliwanag. Yan ako, itsura ko dati bago tayo nagka-lockdown. Iba na itsura ko ngayon. Ano? Right. Dito, sa binigay ko sa inyo, merong litrato ng araw. Yan. Yan ay kinuha ko sa Wikimedia with the permission of Stan Carey. And salamat sa kanya, original photograph niya. Yan. Meron naman akong photograph din ng rising sun from the east. Pero mas maganda yan. Kaya yan na lang ginamit natin. Ngayon, ito yung tanong natin. Imagine nyo na kayo ay isang astronomer or estudyante ng astronomy sa UP. You know your science. Dahil alam mo yung science mo, pag tumitingin ka sa pagsikat ng araw sa east, ang nakikita mo ay stationary na araw. Kasi alam mo, yung Earth, siya ang umiikot in some orbit around the sun. At alam mo rin, yung Earth ang nagre-revolve. Kaya meron kang impression na yung sun nagra-rise at lumulubog sa hapon. Alright? So, tumitingin ka ngayon sa araw. Sa pagsikat ng araw, nasa beach ka, alright? Sa madaling araw, alright? Now, nagkataon, imagine mo, nandun ka nga, student of science, nagkataon, meron kang kaibigan. Parang ako. Ako ay maraming kaibigan dyan sa Sierra Madre. Yung lugar dyan sa likod ng Angat Dam, yung mga gubat dyan, malimit ako dyan dati, may mga kaibigan ako na dumagat. Now, imagine nyo na lamang, may katabi kayong dumagat. Yung dumagat na katabi mo ay hindi makabasang maayos. Nakakabasa naman, pero hirap na hirap. Kaya hanggat maaari, ayaw niyang magbasa. Sa makatuwid, walang alam sa science. Pag ang pag-uusapan ay paghuhuli ng isda sa ilog, o paghahanap ng ginto sa ilog, o paghahanap ng baboy damo, mahusay yung mga yan. Pero pagdating sa science, wala. So ito ngayon kayong dalawa. Ang tanong ay ganito. Kapag tinitingnan nyo ba yung araw, when you look at the sun rising from the east, do you see the same sun? Alright, let me ask that question and let's see what comments you are going to give. Are you seeing the same sun? Uy, ang daming comments. Wow, ang galing naman. Merong mga nagsabi, yes po. Nakita niyo yung Mentimeter, okay. How many of you have taken up some course on the nature and limits of reasoning? Covered sa statistics, well, pag-usapan natin yan. Okay? Fallacies, nabanggit na nga natin kanina. More or less, marami pong discussion about fallacies and philosophers. Right? Fallacies, importante po. Ito yung tanong ko. Looking at the sun rising from the east, you, the astronomer, and your friend, the dumagat. Right? The dumagat. Are you seeing the same thing? Yun yung tanong ko eh. Bakit? Kasi, pag tinanong mo yung dumagat na walang alam sa science, ang sasabihin sa iyo, ay di sumisikat ang araw at lulubog din yan doon sa east. Sa makatuwid, ang gumagalaw yung araw. Tayo, stationary. Yun ang impression nila eh. Ngayon ang tanong ko eh, are you seeing the same sun? Are you seeing the same thing? Para yang, wag naman magagalit ha, para yang si Mother Teresa. Si Mother Teresa, icon. Icon ng marami. Eh, may konting joke lang ako, ha, wag magagalit. Ako naman eh, produkto din ng simbahan. Graduate ako ng eskwelahan graduate ako ng Catholic school. Yung aking mga mentor, nung elementary ako, at saka nung high school, mga Jesuit. Alright? Although, pumasok ko sa UP, eh, dito ngayon, jablo na ako. Alright? Makapal na rin ang mukha. Na-imagine nyo ba si Mother Teresa kumakanta? Parang ganito, "Who let the dogs out?" Ooh, ooh. Kaya, tingnan. Gusto ko sabihin, na-imagine niyo si Mother Teresa kumakanta, "Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?" Ooh. What am I saying? Astronomer, marunong ng science. Dumagat, nakatingin sa araw. Mother Teresa, nakikinig ng series of tones. Ikaw, nakikinig din doon sa series of tones. What for you is music may be noise to her. Or noise for her. Nangyayari, hindi ba? Miski tatay at nanay ninyo. Hindi lahat ng pinakikinggan nyo ay masaya sila. Ako, mga paborito ko, sino nga bang paborito ko? Big Bang. Lala niyan? Fantastic, baby. Yan. Ay, na-imagine nyo ba si Mother Teresa? Sumasayaw sa kanta ng Big Bang o BTS? Parang ang labo naman yan. So what am I talking about? Pag-uusapan natin yan. Sa pag-aaral ng logic, sa pag-aaral ng reasoning, pag-aaralan natin ang tinatawag ninyo. Generation nyo nagpauso nito, ha? Yung generation nyo, mahusay. May mga bagong bagay na natututunan na hindi puso ng panahon namin. Halimbawa, yung generation ninyo, sikat na sikat yung expression, mental model. With the right kind of mental model, what appears to be noise for some may be music for others. With the right kind of mental model, what appears trash, basura sa ibang tao will be art for you. Ganyan ang mga epekto sa atin ng ating mental models. Now, when you look into how your mental models are constructed, and they are constructed, as young kids, when you're born, you do not have mental models the way you have when you're adults. You construct your mental models. And when you look at the construction of mental models, that is where, importante, yung pinag-aaralan natin ang, nabanggit ko nga din eh, pinag-aaralan natin ang nature and limits of reasoning. If you know your nature and limits of reasoning, and in addition, you can mathematicize them, then you will know how your mental models are constructed, and therefore you will see why what you see, you are able to see and others are not able to see. And conversely, knowing the mental models of others, you will see why they are seeing things the way they are seeing those things. So, halimbawa ngayon, very predictable ang behavior ng presidente dahil alam natin ang mental model niya. Dahil pinag-aralan natin ang nature and limits of reasoning, and nakakagawa tayo ng modeling ng kanyang pag-iisip. Pwede yan. Alright? So, yan ang isang dahilan kaya ako ipinakita ito. Pero meron pa isang dahilan, importante. Alright? Alam natin as a rule, whenever the sun rises, it rises from the east. That's the rule. Maliwanag sa atin yan. Now, how did you know about the rule? Paano mo naisip yan? Sa totoo lang, hindi mo naman naisip yan dahil ikaw ay nagbasa ng academic journal. Baka miski nga ngayon na kayo college student na, hindi pa masyadong mahilig magbasa ng academic journal. Lalo na yung mga hindi pumapasok sa college. Pero alam nila, as a rule, whenever the sun rises, it rises from the east. So paano nangyari yun? Hindi naman kayo umattend ng komperensya ng mga academics para malaman na whenever the sun rises from the east. Yan. Alright. Tingin kayo dito. Hopefully, nakikita nyo ito. Now, may isang araw today, day number 1, nakita nyo ang araw sumikat from the east. The sun rising from the east. So one day, you see the sun rising from the east. You express that as a statement or a sentence, and you keep that in your mind as a thought. So it's in your mind a thought. What's the thought? The sun has risen from the east today. But then you remember, yesterday, the sun has also risen from the east. So you have another thought indicating that what? The sun has risen from the east. And then, you remember the day before yesterday, the sun has also risen from the east. And so you have 3 thoughts indicating that the sun has risen from the east. And then you have another and another and another. In fact, there are so many of your thoughts in your minds that what? That tell you, indicate to you, the sun has risen from the east. Maybe 100 of them or 10,000 of them or so many days, whatever, you know, the sun has risen from the east. And now, thanks to your capacity to reason, you see a pattern. You look at all those things and you see, oh, they have a pattern. It's just like looking at all human beings, you get to understand human beings have 2 eyes. Or human beings have 23 alleles. Or so on and so forth. What's the point? You see a pattern, and in addition, seeing the pattern, you see there is no exception to the pattern. You have never seen any single day the sun not rising from the east. You have never seen it rise from the west, or rise from the south or the north. It has always been the east. So, dalawang bagay, may nakita kang pattern, at ano pa, walang exception dun sa pattern. So, thanks to your capacity to reason, you now say, well, since all of these are correct, I can only say as a what? As a rule, what's the rule? Whenever the sun rises from the east. So you see that. Now what happens? Because you know this rule, what can you now say? You can now say, if tomorrow, another day, what day? Tomorrow. If tomorrow the sun rises, it will rise from the east. And so, there you go. What have I been able to point out to you? I've been able to point out to you by, thanks to our capacity to reason, we can see the future. Wala pa yung bukas, alam na natin ang mangyayari, pustahan pa tayo. Ang araw sisikat sa silangan. Alright? That's what we are able to do. How are we able to do it? Thanks to our capacity to reason. Thanks to our capacity to reason, we have a vision of the future. Not only tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow and the day after that. And so on and so forth. That's exactly what reasoning gives you. Reasoning not only gives you a clear understanding of your mental model, Alright? Your mental model, your capacity to look at this universe is like, if you understand what reasoning is all about, a spacecraft, a spaceship that takes you into the future. You're traveling into the future. You know tomorrow the sun is going to rise from the east. Next year, we can predict that tataas ang presyo ng mga food items. Sigurado yan, or hindi naman sigurado, very probable yan. Alright? Very probable yan na mangyayari. Paano natin masabi? Reasoning. Anong klaseng reasoning? Unang-una, alam natin na ang China, napakalaki ng population. Sobra sa 1 billion. Ikalawa, alam na natin ngayon, using satellite survey, 70% ng agricultural production area ng China lumubog sa baha. Alam natin ngayon, walang expected na harvest of any kind doon sa 70% area ng China. So anong mangyari? Ang China magugutom. Hindi lang sa hindi sila makakapag-supply sa atin na ginagawa nila ngayon, supply na ng repolyo, supply na sibuyas, bawang, pati carrots. Dahil hindi lang sa mababawasan ng supply, sila mamimili sila ng pagkain nila. Kasi wala silang na-produce. Pag namili sila, mag-aagawan tayo. Tataas ang demand. Pag tumaas ang demand, tataas ang presyo. And now, we are able to see the future. Tataas ang presyo ng pagkain next year. Pero paano natin nalaman? Hindi dahil sa may kausap tayong Diyos or kausap na prophet, ginamitan lang natin ng pangangatwiran. Alright? Balik tayo din sa aking litrato. Ito, photograph na isang Australian, pinahiram sa akin. Salamat dun sa Wikimedia. Pero ayaw niya isulat yung pangalan niya, kaya yun na lang nilagay natin. Alright. Photograph ng Egyptians. For the Egyptian, yung araw ay isang Diyos. Sa atin, it's a piece of rock or matter that is flaming. Pero from the Egyptians' point of view, it's a piece of, no, it's not a piece of anything rather. It's a god, sun god Ra. What are we talking about? Doon sa dalampasigan ng Nile River, tagilid yung mga farmers. Bakit? When the farmers want to plant, all right? Nakikita niyo ba yung hindi niyo pala nakikita yung sinishare ko Dali share ulit tayo ng screen. Alright. Share tayo ng screen, ha? Yan. Yung mga Egyptian. Nile. Ang mga farmers noong ancient times sa Egypt, pag magtatanim, patay mali. Am I going to plant my crops today, tomorrow, next week, the following week, next month, the following month? Bakit? Wala silang kalendaryo Wala silang kalendaryo, wala silang information as we have them now, and so when they plant their crops, they don't know anything about the future. If they plant their crops at a time na walang ulan, then after a while, they see their seeds, and their crops dying from lack of rain, and wasted, kakainin lang ng mga insekto. Pagka naman nagtanim sila sa tag-ulan at mali rin ng timing, pwedeng mag-harvest na sana sila ng kanilang cereal, pagkatapos biglang babahain naman, wala rin namang nangyari. So patay mali. Alright? They are beholden to chance. When to plant their crops, when to harvest their crops. Fortunately, merong mga nagkiklaim na sila ay mga sons and daughters of the gods and the deities. And they say, well, we've talked to the gods themselves, and we are prophets, or we are the gods themselves, The point is, having talked to the gods and the deities, they tell the farmers, this is the day you plant, this is the day you harvest, and so on and so forth. In other words, yung mga taong sinauna, they depend on the gods and the deities for predicting the future. And what happens? When they rely on the deities and the gods for predicting the futures, they don't rely on their thoughts. They have a very different conception of thoughts. Sa atin ngayon, if you have some thought, you can state it in a sentence, you can put it in some expression, you can collect them, and as you collect them, you come up with a poem. Later, you come up with a song. Later, you put up music, and then later, you sell the song and the music, and you become filthy rich. Alright? Mamaya, singyaman ka na ng BTS. Bakit? Kasi, your thoughts, you think they are your own. When you hear thoughts in your mind, you think they are your own. And so you can sell them. And we buy them. Pero, no ancient times, when they hear voices in their minds, they did not think that these were their voices. These were their thoughts. When they hear voices in their minds, they believe that these are the voices of the gods and the deities, telling them when to plant and when not to plant. Laking diferensya. Alright? So, noong unang panahon, men did not rely on their capacity to reason. They relied on the gods and the deities and the prophets who talked to the gods and the deities to see the future. Tanong. Siyempre, alam nyo na, no? Ano yung alam nyo na? Alam nyo na, alright? Sorry pag minsan nawawala ako doon sa screen. Hindi ko kasi na-monitor yung isang computer. Kasi mabagal. Ito yung tanong. Alright? Balik tayo sa screen sharing. Ito yung tanong. Sulat ko dito sa chat natin, Oo nga, Mr. Lacson, ngayon ko lang napansin, hindi nyo pala kita yung screen Ito ngayon yung tanong. Question. As I have said, ancient peoples rely on the gods and deities to see the future. Question. Are Filipinos today at large more like UP students who rely on their capacity today, capacity to reason today, all right? Or more like the ancient peoples relying on gods and deities to see the future. Alright, pag umuwi kayo ngayon sa inyo, tanungin nyo nga yung nanay at tatay ninyo. Ito yung question. Are Filipinos today at large more like UP students who rely on their capacity to reason, or more like the ancient peoples relying on the gods and the deities to see the future? Yan yung tanong. Kasi nabanggit ko nga sa inyo Pag nag-aaral kayo ng nature and limits of reasoning, yan ang mangyayari. You're able to see the future on the basis of your capacity to reason. Now, of course, if you can see the future thanks to your capacity to reason, then you have control over your life. You have control over your future. Paano mangyari yan? Kasi if you can see the future, you can adjust. If you can see the future that sa June at saka July, yan ang may tag-ulan, dyan ako magtatanim kung ikaw ay farmer. At if you can see the future, pagdating ng Setyembre, Agosto at Setyembre, yan may bagyo, dapat pag magtanim ako, hindi yung pag-aanihin ko na kung kailan may bagyo. So magtatanim ka na eksakto, yung iyong ani hindi tatapat sa bagyo. So someone who can see the future with more accuracy will of course have more chances of survival. Alright? If you can see the future, then you can say, well, if these are the things that I do, at the end of it all in the future, I become a doctor. Some of you know that. Or if these are the things that I do, at the end of it all, in the future, I'll be a lawyer. Or I will be an engineer. That's what you do. You reason well, you predict the future, and you make your adjustments. Oh, I'd rather become a policeman. Bakit? Kasi in the future, yung police mas may future eh. Bakit? Kasi kung police ka, pwede kang maging waiting lord. Mamaya-maya, dahil waiting lord ka na, mayor ka na. Mamaya-maya, ikaw ay governor. Mamaya-maya, ikaw ay senador na. O, sarap pala ng buhay ng mga senador. O, ayos na ayos, di ba? You can see the future. You have control over your destiny. Yan ang nangyayari. Now, given my experience, alam ko na yung sasagot ninyo eh. Alright, basahin natin ang unang sagot. Hati po, sir. Tulad sa statistics ng COVID, umaasa po sila sa predictions ng UP. Ay, yung may kilala sa UP. Pero pag feel po nila, ay discriminate. They don't want to believe anything we say. Bakit? Mga aktivista tayo eh. Significantly, ang mga Pilipino ay pag bumoboto, ang hanap ay sugo ng Diyos. Tama ba? Pag bumoboto ang mga Pilipino, ang hanap ay mga sugo ng Diyos. Tama ba? Mali? Hindi mga mahusay, mga tuwiran. Tuwiran. Yan. Tama ba mali? Etong sinabi ko eh. Pag bumoboto ang mga Pilipino, ang hanap mga sugo ng Diyos, hindi mga mahusay, mga tuwiran. So, ang punta natin eh ito. Ito, sabi ni Mr. Flores, Miss Flores, with religion being culturally embedded in Filipinos' life, they're at large dependent on God to see the future. Tama. Yan na nga sinasabi ko eh. Pag bumoboto, hanap sugo ng Diyos, hindi yung mahusay sa logic. So, eto ngayon ang gusto nating sabihin, mga kababayan ko. Yung ating course objective ay maliwanag. Sinabi nga natin, gusto natin, at the end of the semester, the students should have enough understanding of the nature and limits of reasoning as to be able to cite ways of mathematicizing reasoning at its most basic levels. Dadagdagan ko yan bago tayo maghiwalay. Kayo, mga scholar ng bayan, pagka-graduate nyo nito, sana naman maging spokesperson kayo, mga ambasador ng mahusay na pangangatwiran, ambasador ng reasoning, para mapalitan na natin yung mental model ng mga Pilipino at hindi tayo nadidisgrasya. Kahit anong talino ninyo, at kayo ay kumita sa abroad, magpadala kayo ng sangkatutak na pera dito, tagilid pa rin tayo, so long as ang mga Pilipino, ganyang mag-isip. Hindi binibigyan ng halaga ang pag-aaral ng pangangatwiran. So, hopefully at the end of the semester, not only will I have students who have understanding of the nature and limits of reasoning as to be able to cite ways of mathematicizing reasoning at its most basic levels, umaasa ako na madadagdagan ang mga ambasador para sa mahusay na pangangatwiran. Yan. Sana nga. Baka sakali, wala namang masama, di ba? Walang masamang mangarap. Ngayon, may homework kayo bago tayo maghiwalay. Ano yung homework ninyo? Punta kayo ng Wikipedia. Punta rin kayo ng Encyclopedia Britannica. Libre naman eh. Yung iba sa inyo, ayaw ng Wikipedia. Well, let me just tell you, fairly recently, pinag-aralan ng Wikipedia ng mga data scientists. Yung data na pwede nating i-harvest out of Wikipedia, kinumpare nila sa data available sa Encyclopedia Britannica, and lumalabas na between Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, basta merong pagkakapareho, ang accuracy ng Wikipedia ay almost equal to around 98% ng accuracy ng Britannica. So, bagamat may mga bagay na available sa Wikipedia na wala sa Britannica. So far as I'm concerned, reliable naman yung Wikipedia. Pero it's up to you. Kung may time kayo, magbasa kayo ng Wikipedia at saka Wikipedia at saka Encyclopedia Britannica on 3 things. 3 bagay. 1, ano yung isa? Ancient Greece. Ayan na nga. Alright? Ancient Greece. Alright? Ano pa? Yung invention ng Ancient Greece, ano yan? Democracy. Ano pa? Yung invention pa ng Ancient Greece, pangatlo, yung philosophy. So, sa Ancient Greece, nagkaroon ng civilization, Ancient Greek civilization, pag-aralan nyo yan. And produkto ng Ancient Greek civilization, democracy, pag-aralan nyo yan. At dahil nagka-democracy sila, nagkaroon ng philosophy. Later, ipapaliwanag ko sa inyo, dahil nagkaroon ng philosophy, nagkaroon ng science. Sa China, kahit na ang dami-dami ng technology available, hindi naman nagkaroon ng science. Bakit? Ito na nga yung pinag-uusapan natin. Alright? Hindi aksidente na pag pumunta kayo ng Quezon Hall, ang itsura ng Quezon Hall parang ancient Greek structure. May column at may steps. Pag pumunta kayo ng Melchor Hall ng engineering, ganun din. Pag pumunta kayo ng Palmo Hall, ganun din. Pag pumunta kayo ng National Museum ng Philippines, na dati-dati ay seat ng Senate ng Philippines, ganun din. Pag pumunta kayo ng US Senate, ganun din na itsura. Ancient Greek structures ang nakikita ninyo. Kasi ang foundation ng Western civilization, ano yung Western civilization? Siya nga yung mahilig sa mag-highlight ng natural capacity natin to reason. Ang foundation niyan ay nandun sa ancient Greek civilization. On one hand, sa invention niya ng democracy, and on the other hand, sa invention ng philosophy. Yan. Homework. Pagka ginawa niya, nagbasa kayo niyan, then yung aking paliwanag next meeting, mas maiintindihan ninyo. Alright? Yan. Balik dito. Nakita niyo ba yun? Nawala na naman ang screen. Nakakainis siya. Pakita natin, ha? Share ko ulit. Ito. Wikipedia, Ancient Greece. Alright? Encyclopedia Britannica, Ancient Greece. Homework, ha? Ancient Greece. Pag-aralan nyo. Democracy and philosophy. There you go. Okay. Kung meron kayong mga dagdag na comments, pakidagdag na lang dyan sa ating sa ating Google Classroom at I will go through them, respond to them as much as I can and as early as I can. Titingnan ko rin yung inyong mga comments doon sa YouTube. Pasensya na, hindi ko pa masyadong maayos tong setup ko kasi kulang ako sa resources. Bakit? Ang aking computer lumang-luma na, almost 10 years old. Actually, 8-year-old computer. Tapos nakahiram naman ako na, mas bulok pa pala rin sa akin. So, hindi ko ma-monitor yung mga lumalabas na sa YouTube So, kung merong extra comments, pakisabi na lang sa akin dito. Alright, I will end the broadcast kasi I know some of you still have other classes. So, magandang hapon po. Thank you for participating. See you next meeting. Sana mas mahusay tayo every meeting. Okay? Gandang hapon po. Ingat lagi.